Hey there, hi there, ho there. I'm as happy as can be. And why am I happy? Because you chose to take time out to watch my channel. I am so happy and so grateful that you are here. And I'm so happy that all the people who joined me. Because that's why I'm here. So I can share books and share authors and share life and share Yorkies, right? Yorkies. Come on, come over. Come on. There's another Yorkie. And there's a Yorkie scratching something over there. Oh, that's Toby. He finally got up. He was sleeping like a rock. So anyway, why are we gathered here together? I gathered you here to reveal the culprit. No, I didn't. I gathered you all here to reveal the next 20th century popular authors that I wanted to talk about. I will put a link down in the description to the first video of the first 10. This is the second 10, so it makes 20th century authors. And they are all popular authors. I didn't go for the literary much. There's no William Faulkner because I've never read Faulkner. There's no Flannery O'Connor because I don't like Flannery O'Connor's writing. And so on and so forth. It's popular stuff. It's fun stuff. It's stuff that was written to entertain. And our first one of the day is a gentleman that was born in 1926. And he was named by his parents Salvatore Albert Lombino. He eventually took on the name Evan Hunter, which he wrote under. He also wrote books under the name Ed McBain. Now, I'll be focusing on the Evan Hunter books and the Ed McBain books because he also wrote under a number of other names, and I'm not sure I was able to track them all down, and at any rate, I've never read any of those books, so I don't know if they're good or not. So, but I can recommend, definitely, him writing as Evan Hunter and him writing as Ed McBain, because he wrote some fantastic books. And are you sitting down? Because just under those two names, not counting screenplays, he wrote 136 books. 136 books. He passed away in 2005, probably from writer's cramp. And see, that was... Nope, that's the next one. I've got too many notes here. 136 books, though. And his most famous writing under Ed McBain is the 87th Precinct books. A series of books of police procedurals set in the fictional city of Isolde. Or is it Iola? Isolde? I think it's Isolde. It's been a while since I've read any. And they started in the 1950s with the book Cop Hater. And he wrote some wonderful books. I mean, they are just... They're detailed police procedurals. Great mysteries. Written with some humor in some cases. Same cast of characters mostly. Some die off in the series. Some are added in the series partway through. But it's all the detectives and police officers in the 87th precinct of this fictional city, which is a very thinly veiled New York City. My favorites under his name, Ed McBain, are The Gang's All Here, which was the first one I ever read. Doll, which was just simply awesome. I said Hail, Hail, The Gang's All Here. Give the Boy a Great Big Hand. That one was done with tongue in cheek. Basically, a police officer on the beat finds a hand in a I believe it's a garbage can on the sidewalk, and all the detectives in the 87th precinct have to go on is this hand to find out who the victim is, and they have then to find out who the killer is, or if the body's dead. I don't want to give any spoilers here. Maybe the body's not dead. Maybe it's just handless. Yeah. Anyway, under Evan Hunter, his first book under Evan Hunter, The Blackboard Jungle, was made into a hit movie, late 50s, with Sidney Poitier, and whoop, there goes the name. Who played the teacher? Glenn Ford? Maybe? Anyway, great movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. But old black and white. And great book. Blackboard Jungle. He also wrote a biography of Lizzie Borden. He wrote a book called Last Summer, which I read when I was very young, probably too young to read it, I might add. That involved a crime between three teenagers. I think it's three teenagers. A crime that they commit on another teenager. And yeah, that was pretty intense. I haven't read the sequel yet. I will. It's on my shelf here. I'm going to reread Last Summer because it's been so long. And then I'm going to read its sequel come winter. Apparently it's when revenge gets had. Okay, enough of Ed McBain, Evan Hunter, and all the other names. Next up is Sidney Sheldon. Folks, if you've not discovered Sidney Sheldon, dive in. Just dive in. His books are roller coaster rides. Just absolute roller coaster rides. He wrote, not counting stuff he did for television, because he did stuff for television, like I Dream of Jeannie, and a number of other things. But he wrote 19 novels, and I need to make a note to speak on that in a moment. He wrote 9 plays, and he also wrote 11 novels for English readers in Japan. And this is Japanese readers who were reading in English, especially for them to get a taste of American culture, etc., etc. And apparently, they were only released in Japan. They're very difficult to find in this country, and were probably considered quite rare. I'm going to try to find some and see if I can afford them, because I'm willing to bet if you do find them in this country, they're probably going to be really pricey. If you go to Wikipedia under Sidney Sheldon's name, you can see the titles of the 11 books he wrote for Japanese readers. He was born in 1917, died in 2007. But yet his books still come out. And there's a reason for that. There is a writer, British journalist, who also writes fiction, named Tally Bagshore. And she writes Sidney Sheldon's title. Sidney Sheldon's title. Now, I don't know where this comes from. I don't know if they're just tacking on Sidney Sheldon's name to sell the books, or if she was given rights to notes he had about books. I don't know. I was not able to find any information on it. But I just have a problem with somebody building a career as a writer on the back of somebody who's died. And I think she should just publish the books as the title by Tally Bagshore. That's just my opinion. I think it's a little shady claiming that they're Sidney Sheldon's books, and they're not. But the ones that are Sidney Sheldon, which don't have her name on them, are a rollicking fun. The first book is The Naked Face, which was made into a movie with Pierce Brosnan as a psychiatrist who is, his patients are starting to die off one by one, and they need to find the killer. before another patient is killed or he himself is killed. And really good book. Another one of my favorites, it's probably everybody's favorite Sidney Sheldon book, is The Other Side of Midnight, which is an epic, though it's not thick. You would think if it was epic it would be a chunker. It's not a chunker. It's maybe about 400 pages. And just, again, all his books are basically crime books in one way or another, but revolves around the crime involving a famous actress, famous French actress, and it goes all over the world. It goes to Greece, it goes to Chicago, it goes everywhere, and it's a great story, great story. Bloodline, about a man who runs a pharmaceutical industry dies, and his daughter inherits the head of the company position, and somebody doesn't like that, and somebody doesn't want her there. Somebody wants her dead, so we have to keep it from happening. And all his books are along those lines. They're just great books. And then I've got one of my favorite authors, and I'm still chipping away at his books, is Arthur Haley. He wrote 11 novels. He was born in 1920, died in 2004. He was a Canadian. Hi, Jolene, if you're watching. Canadian author. I think I'm going to have to tag you in the description, Jolene. Just make sure you do see this. Arthur Haley wrote Airport. Still my favorite book of the ones I've read. Airport is a suspenseful novel. It's a Chicago airport that is in the midst of a blizzard, still trying to operate. Why they don't just shut the place down, I never figured out, but still trying to operate in the midst of a blizzard. And a bomber, and this is before Homeland Security and all the checks that you go through now. It was real easy to get a bomb onto a plane back then. A bomber gets on one of the planes, and the plane has to turn around and come back to a blizzard to land, and it's a mess. There's planes broken down on the runways, and it's great suspenseful novel. And also a great view of the airline industry. That's kind of what he does, in the way that James Michener takes a place like Israel and makes it a central character around which all the other characters revolve, which is what he did in The Source. That's what Arthur Haley does, but he does it more with industry. It's the airline industry. It's the central character here, and all the other people are incidental. They just happen to be in the airline industry. Strong Medicine, about the pharmaceutical industry. It's The Final Diagnosis, about running a hospital. Wheels, about the automotive industry. Hotel, about the hotel industry. He's a great storyteller, and very detailed storyteller. So be prepared for that if you dive into his books. He does give you detail, but it's detail that's kind of fun, kind of like trivia that you accumulate. And oh dear, we're 13 minutes into this. I need to hurry up. Nora Lofts is next. She's a British writer. She wrote 64 novels under her own name. She wrote under a number of other names, but like with Ed McBain and Evan Hunter, I'm not familiar with the other names and what those books are like, so I'm just sticking with the ones that are under her name. 64 books. She was born in 1904, died in 1983. She was a British author, and I kind of miffed at the publication industry, publishing industry. There we go, I got it. Because they billed all her books as romances, and all her books were not romances. But you look at the cover, and it looks like a Harlequin romance or something. And they, because her fame began writing romances, even though she departed in other directions, the publishing company kept slapping these covers on the books that made them look like she was writing another romance. Now, I think that would piss off some of her fans. I don't know. It pisses me off that they did it because the books were not romances. Like, Winter Harvest is a historical novel about the Donner Party. And it is pretty intense, and it's pretty gruesome. And she wrote one called The Claw, about a serial killer in London. Again, pretty scary, pretty gruesome. She wrote, what else did she write that was not? She wrote The Townhouse, which was a trilogy about a house that got built up in this particular spot in England, got added onto, got taken away from, different families moved in, different families moved out, and just the life of a house that went through 3 books, and it was just riveting. But still, you look at the cover of the book, they look like romances. Anyway, that's my beef there. But Norah Lofts was a great author. She was a British treasure. Any of you folks in Great Britain, feel free to weigh in the comments if you agree or disagree that Norah Lofts was somebody that deserved more attention than she got after she died. There is a movement to bring some of her books back. They've succeeded in bringing some and getting them back in print. But you know, there's 64 of them to work with. They haven't gotten that. There's not even a drop in the bucket yet. But great writer, really great writer. And then going from British to American, we've got F. Scott Fitzgerald, one of my favorites, probably one of the few literary writers on here anyway. He wrote 5 novels, 171 short stories. I know I haven't read them all. I thought I had, and I know I didn't. 10 collections of stories. And again, I thought I'd read them all, and I haven't. 25 poems, which I've never come across, and a play, which I'd be very interested in finding a copy of. He was born in 1896, died in 1940, fairly young. Sadly enough, 44 years old. 44 years old. We have some other authors on the list, especially in the last batch, that we're just getting started. But he's a great writer, beautiful writer. I've read several of his novels. I haven't read them all. The Great Gatsby is brilliant. This Side of Paradise is brilliant. I've read Tales of the Jazz Age, which is a collection of short stories, other short story collections, and his short stories are just so captivating. You can see the light, you can hear the sound. There's a scene in one of his short stories of somebody entering a very ritzy dining room with lots of crystal and lots of silver, and the sun's coming in and reflecting off the crystal, and you can hear the chink 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 of the silver on the china plates, and you can live it just reading his words. It puts you right there, the way he words it. Anyway, F. Scott Fitzgerald. Don't think I need to say much more about him. Then we got Thomas Tryon. 1926 he was born, passed away in 1991. Complications related to AIDS or HIV, however they say that now. He wrote 10 books in his life. He started off as an actor and had some bad Hollywood experiences that turned him off from acting. One of which was working with Otto Preminger, the director. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. He was known for being a very difficult director to work for. And Thomas Tryon just said, no more. But his books, he started out with a book called The Other. Horror book fans, if you have not read this, run, don't walk to your nearest store, or get on your phone and go to thrift books or wherever you order your books from. Get this book. It is one of the classic American horror novels of all time. And it was Ira Levin, I believe, who was blurbed on the cover when it first came out in paperback. And he referred to it as a book filled with, oh my God, horror. And it was horror that makes you go, oh my God. And it does. He pushed some envelopes. He also wrote Harvest Home, which I'm sure some people know about. He wrote Lady, which was a beautiful book. After his first two, he steered away from horror. Lady was more of a suspense mystery. And then he went into some kind of like what Jacqueline Suzanne did with Valley of the Dolls, writing books about Hollywood, with the main characters being thinly veiled portrayals of real people. And you can pick some of them out. They've done well enough. And then he wrote, he wrote two of those books, Crowned Heads and All That Glitters. And then he wrote historical novels after that. And then he went back and wrote more horror novels before he died. Great author. Just read them. Read them. Especially The Other. If you're a horror fan, even if you're not a horror fan, it's a great book to read. But if you're a horror fan, it needs to be in your repertoire. I'm hoping to give this book a rebirth. Next on the list, totally different from Thomas Tron, is Jan Karon. Born in 1937, still alive today. Still writing. She wrote her first novel in 1950... No, it's not. She wrote her first novel at the age of 57 in 1994. Since 1994... proceeding on with age as appropriate, she has published 27 novels. That's not bad for somebody who retired from an advertising job and decided to write for a living. She started at the age of 57 in 1994 and has 27 novels under her belt. She's still going. I have to catch up on her books. This I haven't read. I think it's the last three I haven't read. Great writer. For the relaxing, comforting, easing type of read. She writes about a fictional town called Mitford, which is loosely based on Blowing Rock, North Carolina, which is where she lives. And the main character of the series is an Episcopalian priest. And it's about him and his congregation, and about the Baptist church up the street, and that congregation, and about the people that come and go. There's the rich lady who almost owns the town, who lives up a mountain, and she's got nefarious plans, and it's just a great series of easy reading books when you want to just calm the mind and you want to be entertained at the same time. The Mitford books are wonderful. The best one is a book called Home to Holly Springs. I raced through that book. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It needs to be reread. It was very poignant, very emotionally deep, much more so than the rest of her series. My second favorite book is A New Song, second favorite in her series, which also just had a great plot, kind of breaking through to somebody who has a hard shell built up around them. Great reading. Jan Karon. Then we've got James Kirkwood, born in 1924, died in 1989. He was another one that died of complications from HIV, which is sad. because he died young. 6 novels, 4 plays. Excuse me. 6 novels, 4 plays, and 2 nonfiction books. One of the 4 plays that he wrote, I'm sure most of you have heard about, it's called A Chorus Line. He wrote that. Marvin Hamlisch wrote the music, but James Kirkwood wrote the story. And his novels are wonderful. P.S. Your Cat is Dead is one of my favorites. I reread it last year after a long time of not having any of his books around. And Hit Me With a Rainbow is a beautiful love story told from a man's point of view. And he's a wonderful writer. Just pick up some of his books. They're hard to get. You have to go get them used, because I think the only one that's still in print, probably 2 still in print. P.S. Your Cat is Dead is still in print. And a memoir he wrote about trying to produce a play with Carol Channing and Mary Martin battling it out throughout the entire effort of putting on this play. A play which I happened to see. I happened to see it in Boston with Mary Martin and Carol Channing, and it was hysterical. I'm talking slide off your seat, tears running down your face, pain in your ribs, laughter. Great. Anyway, James Kirkwood. And then we have Ellis Peters, whose real name is Edith Pargeter. She has written books under her name, Edith Pargeter, and a couple of others. I've only read the Ellis Peters books, so again, I'm focusing just on those. And they are predominantly the Cadfael books. And Cadfael is a monk in a 12th century monastery in Shrewsbury in England. She's a British writer. And the Cadfael mysteries are delightful. They are wonderfully written. They're intelligent mysteries. It's, when you think of a cozy mystery, you think of paper-thin plot, paper-thin characters. Hers are cozy mysteries, but they're intelligent. And they make you think. And the characters are wonderfully drawn. She's a masterful character creator. And then finally, last but not least, Anne Rice, also known as Anne Rampling, and also known as A.N. Roquelaure. How you like that name? She was born in 1941, recently died in 2021, a loss to contemporary literature. She wrote 38 books in her life, and they are great books. I haven't read them all by all means, but I've read a handful and intend to read a whole lot more. I've got some unread ones here on my shelf. The 2 that I'm going to point out, I think I'm putting up with the pictures too, are Interview with the Vampire, which is one of my all-time favorite books. That's like in my top 5. I love Interview with the Vampire every time I read it. And the other one I read was one of the few erotica books I've enjoyed, and it's called Exit to Eden. And I liked it because it wasn't just peddling erotica. It was an in-depth character study of a man who ends up at this island resort that specializes in sexual fantasies. And it was about him and his head and what goes on in his head, what's going on in his life and his emotions. And yeah, there was sex in it, a lot of sex in it, but he was the main focus of the story. And that's it. That's the second 10. 10, now that's 20 I've done. 20 for the 20th century. These are great authors. I hope you all try some of them. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. It's fun. It doesn't cost you anything, and you get notifications when I post, because I post erratically due to a rather erratic life. And also, hit the like button if you like the video. Hit the like button even if you didn't like the video. It just helps the algorithm push my video around. And comments. I love comments. Those of you who leave comments, thank you so much. Those of you who don't leave comments, please leave comments. Leave comments about the books I'm talking about, the authors I'm talking about the weather in your area, about what you had for dinner last night. I don't care. Just leave comments because I love chatting with people. So that's it for today. I just now have to do the post-production work on this and get it up for y'all. And hopefully that will be today. I won't say what day it is just in case I don't make the goal. And I'll see you on the next one. I've got a lot of tags I've got to catch up on. So I may just do a string of tags coming up. Tag Tuesday's probably going to overflow to Wednesday and Thursday. Just saying. So we'll talk to you later. Have fun. Bye.